So a gun just shows up in your car and you don't know how it's there?
I didn't.
In your own car?
Yes.
That you drive daily?
Yes.
Then why did you take that gun and use it?
Mitchell told the jury he grabbed a gun he found in his car that he claims was not his and brought it to the scene. During trial, Mitchell testified the reason he was in Cohoes that fatal night is because he was concerned two youths he mentored were hanging out with members of a gang. Mitchell will be sentenced in February for that gun charge and could face up to 15 years in prison for it. Another case 13 Investigates has been following: the paid suspension of Cambridge Greenwich Police Chief Robert Danko. As we told you live at 4, more than $50,000 of taxpayer money has gone to Danko since July. That's when the police chief was arrested and charged with unlawful imprisonment and harassment. He is accused of holding a woman against her will, someone Danko knew.
I spoke to Bob Moen today, who's from Colony. He says he got that text message on Sunday, and it already was raising some red flags for him because he doesn't drive. And then he watched News Channel 13 last night at 11 o'clock, where he talked about this Easy Pass scam, and that's when he knew for sure that it was fake. It was actually because of residents complaining to the Public Works Department that DPW started to look into this. Now, you can take a look at the reservoir behind me. It looks pretty clear. It's actually a beautiful scene out here. And I don't smell anything. All I smell is just crisp air. But I know from the residents who have told us that that is not always the case. And also from DPW. So just a couple of weeks ago, there was an algae bloom here. DPW Commissioner Paul Penman says they got hit with another shift in temperatures, causing that odor and taste to come back.
We have reported on the foul odor and smell of that drinking water, but we've never had the chance to speak to a resident on camera. Until this afternoon, 13 Investigates interviewed Jessica Dillon at her home, where we got to see the problem firsthand.
It was nauseating. It was undrinkable.
She even bought a water filter system in December.
It's a way of mitigating some of the odor, and what we were getting early on was particles.
And you were saying how much does this cost you and what range?
So systems like this cost between $1,500 to $2,000.
And you've noticed it has helped?
It has, yeah.
Halo's mom, Persia Nelson, was interrogated by Schenectady police to try and determine the exact location she entered the GE campus.
That's when multiple law enforcement agencies, including GE Security and Schenectady Police, started searching the entire south side of the GE campus, including the railroad tracks just outside of GE, 12th Avenue to Campbell Avenue, down to the GE campus property line.
They're calling my son, and you don't even have any integrity to come forward and say, look, let's look into it.
This newly released recorded conversation between Mayor Ron Kim and Public Safety Commissioner James Montagnino immediately follows this shouting match from May. Mayor Kim, Montagnino, and the Deputy Public Safety Commissioner, Jason Titu, got into a heated argument after Mayor Kim says nothing was being done about alleged threats to a family member.
You know the f***ing guy's got weapons up the wazoo, and he's threatening me, and you don't f***ing have the guts to take a stand, you chicken piece of shit. You're going down with me, Jim. You're going down.
Montagnino then responds to the mayor at the end before it cuts out.
Are you done, Ron, or what?
One day later, this harassment claim against Mayor Kim was filed by Titu with police. But the report says Titu does not want to file charges. Titu says he just wanted the argument to be documented.
In terms of just keeping a higher level of professionalism, it just seemed to be the right thing to do, to just leave it be.
13 Investigates asked Titu if the city can effectively run with city leaders at odds.
Some hiccups and some friction and unfortunate circumstances within government should not affect a thriving city like Saratoga Springs. So yes, can the government move forward? Yes, it can. Can people do better? Yes, it can, and yes, they should.
13 Investigates obtained the recording and harassment claim by a source in the Republican Party. The Saratoga Springs Republican chairman, Mike Brandy, says it's important the public sees what's going on.
Just instance after instance after instance, in less than 2 years in office, Kim has shown himself to be just unfit to interact with, unable to interact with people in a respectful and courteous manner, which is a minimum that we should be able to expect from our elected officials.
Mayor Kim declined an interview, but in a statement he said, in part, I was concerned about anonymous phone calls to a member of my family. It is unclear to me why this tape, made without my knowledge and contrary to city regulations, was released today, 5 months after the fact.
The president of Hudson Valley Community College has just been fired. The Board of Trustees made this decision unanimously.
I move for the president's termination for just cause. Those in favor? Aye. Those opposed?
This comes weeks after 13 Investigates reporting on the sexual harassment claim made against President Raja Ramsamy. He was then placed on paid administrative leave 24 hours after my first report in May. President Ramsamy's personal lawyer, Kevin Lewebrand, wrote, Ramsamy has always, without exception, conducted himself professionally and respectfully with all employees at all times. Since then, the school has remained fairly quiet.
We made probably the biggest decision we're ever going to make here as a board.
Board Chairman Neil Kelleher says it's a sad, difficult time for the college, but this decision was extremely necessary.
We need not only to make a change here, we need to send a very strong message. And this Board of Trustees will not tolerate any action that belittles fellow employees.
The school is not releasing the details of the complaint right now. The board spent roughly 2 hours in a closed-door meeting Tuesday to discuss the findings of this investigation. When the board officially made the vote to fire President Ramsamy, people clapped.
We are adjourned.
Now, HVCC will soon start the search for a new president. A letter from the college will be sent to Ramsamy tomorrow, notifying him of his termination. Bob and Susan Fusinato moved back to Gansevoort after living in St. Augustine, Florida for several years. Their home needed some fixing up. At the top of their list, a new gas stove as a secondary heating source to replace this one. To beat the winter rush, the Fusinatos started shopping in April 2023 and wanted to have a new gas stove installed by summer. They went to the Cozy Cabin in Warrensburg and found exactly what they were looking for, a Vermont Castings gas stove.
It seemed to be what I would think would be a pretty simple process of finding something you want to buy, agree to buy it, and then pay for it, and then have it installed. That didn't happen.
The Fusinatos say they were told to pay the full amount of $6,009 up front, and they did. Next, the Fusinatos needed to get the Vermont Castings installed, and that is where the problem began.
We never received, a final install date based on her installers that they had recommended. And the second red flag would have been their installers were not employees of the company. They were contracted out.
This meant install was going to be another hefty cost for the Fusinatos.
The salesperson we dealt with said that she personally had one of these installers that she recommended do work in her own home. And, that was, enough for us to believe her.
The Fusinatos called an installer they were recommended.
After 4 phone calls in several weeks, I finally got a response back that he was too busy, and if he came out to look at the situation of our current stove here, it would cost a couple $100 for him just to come out and evaluate it. So
Bob called the next one. That installer came to the home at no cost, but the time frame to put in the Vermont Castings was well after what they requested. That's when the Fusinatos went back to Cozy Cabin.
We finally just said, this isn't working out, we'd like a refund. And then that's when they said, oh, we don't offer refunds.
On the sales order, it does say no refunds. The Fusinatos tried calling for weeks and even sent a certified letter to Cozy Cabin explaining why they should get a refund. No responses. Until August 2023, Cozy Cabin wrote a letter to the Fusinatos apologizing they could not find an installer and will make an exception to the no refund rule. The order would be canceled for a 15% restocking fee taken out of their $6,000 order.
we wrote back to them and said, restocking fee, that's ludicrous, because we don't have anything for you to restock because we've never received anything.
Susan then decided to file a complaint with the Attorney General's office. The AG's office investigated and reached out to Cozy Cabin, who stood their ground and stated they're still waiting for Bob to pick up the furnace. As a last-ditch effort, the Fusinatos spoke with an attorney who gave them some advice.
It's probably the best thing you can do is to eat humble pie, go and agree to their restocking fee, even though we have never received the stove.
And the Fusinatos wrote to Cozy Cabin in July 2024, agreeing to the restocking fee. They haven't heard a peep since and haven't received any of their money back.
It should have been a simple business transaction. We went in, we bought.
13 Investigates has reached out to the Cozy Cabin for comment. No response yet, and we have received several comments from viewers sharing their negative experiences, and I found a ton of reviews on Google and Yelp as well about the business. While there are many glowing reviews, there are also many bad reviews. Some people writing similar experiences. They write they paid too much money for parts or a product, or others say they were asked to pay in full for a fireplace or stove without even seeing it first, or their purchase was going to be installed months later.